Hello, can you hear me?
Hello, Naga. It's Linda here. I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, Linda.
Yeah.
Hello,
Okay. Hello. How are you?
I'm good.
Yes.
See me
Yeah.
too.
Sorry.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah. Nice to meet you too. Where are you calling in from today?
From India,
Hmm.
southern part of India called Hyderabad.
Okay. Nice. I'm in Northern Europe now. Yeah.
Is it too early in the morning for you?
No, no. It's just 5 o'clock. So I think we only have some 2.5 hour difference, right? So yeah, we're gonna begin soon, and basically we're gonna start off with my presentation. I'm gonna do some slides. And then I'm gonna, switch off my screen. You can switch on your screen and view your presentation. Then we proceed with the question answer session, and then I'm wrapping up the presentation with the last remaining slides on my part.
So the
Okay.
question answers will be people will be posting on the Q&A, is it?
Yeah, I'm gonna be reading them out to you and asking to you from the live chat on YouTube. So basically, you can just do your presentation, and then I'm gonna be reading out the questions one by one and asking them to you.
Sure.
Okay.
So I'll go off video, and then once you're done with your slides, I will come on video.
Okay. Let's do that. Yeah. Mhm.
Would you do my introduction or should I do it myself?
No, I will do no, I'm going to do my slides and I'm going to introduce you. I'm going to say who the
Okay,
speaker is today. And then I'm going to hand over the word to you, basically. I'm going to talk
sure.
about the company, then I'm going to say, who's speaking, and then I'm going to hand over the word, and then you're going to start your presentation. And you
Sure.
can tell as much as you want about yourself. Yeah.
Cool. Thank you.
Mhm. Naga is the right way of saying that, right?
You can call me Mehra.
Mehera.
Mehra. Yeah.
Mehera. Okay. Sorry about that. I read your name from there. It's like called
I know.
Naga Sudan. I'm sorry about that.
Okay, no problem.
Mehera.
Part of my name, so it's okay.
Okay. Okay, guys. Hello, everybody. We're gonna just start off our webinar today. As usually, I'm welcoming everybody just to share information about who you are, where you're from, which country, which city, which company you work for. Are you already experienced in product management, or are you just starting out? So yes, hello to everyone. My name is Linda. I'm from Product Star Global, and welcome to today's webinar. It's called today Prioritization, how to deliver the most value with the least effort. And today's speaker is Naga Sujan Mehra Mahiraju, but she asked me to call her only Mehera. who is the lead consultant at TalkWorks. So welcome everybody. Let's start. We're going to begin just now. So guys, yeah, please send your questions and comments in YouTube. Yeah, just please let us know who you are, where you're from, as I said, so we can get to know each other better, so we can know our audience and, who is watching, who is participating. Yeah, so we get a better idea, so how we can, get most out of this webinar. And please, yeah, be active and ask your questions and comments in YouTube chat section, in the live section, and I'm going to be asking them to the speaker today. So it's a great opportunity for you guys to know, find out more about the subject. The full recording of the webinar and the presentation will be available on our Telegram channel tomorrow on July 5th. And of course, also for those of you who are late for today's live session, please come back to our YouTube channel as well. You can watch it here as well. The best question will receive a present at the end of the session. So guys, yeah, go away, fire away with those questions. We want some cool questions. Yeah. So then the best one will be rewarded with a present. Just to tell you a little bit more about, our company, ProductStar Global. So we're doing a product management course, which is a 6-month online course. And to tell you a little bit more about it, it consists of 60 lectures and 60 practical exercises from verified industry professionals. Our online platform allows you to complete the course at your own pace, so it's very convenient. You can go as fast or as slow as you wish. At the end of the course, we will help you find an employer and also will help you to prepare for your job interviews. It also, our course provides great networking opportunities. You can communicate with your peers within the course group, and also you can receive some mentor support. So that's great. So who this course is perfect for? It's good for marketers, first of all. Yeah, you want to get into product management and build a career in product marketing, so this course is for you. This course is great also for top managers. You can structure your work and systematically develop digital products. It's good, of course, for project managers as well. You can learn the methodologies for making product decisions, and you can master frameworks. And of course, last but not least, of course, this course is very good for product managers. You can fill in the gaps in your knowledge, you can level up and discover new ideas. So what will be in the course? As I said, it's 6 months of training. Yeah, you can train and learn from the industry's top specialists. There'll be 60 theoretical lectures followed by 60 practical workshops. So there will also be webinars and workshops. So live question answer sessions, group chats with the participants, allowing for the free flow exchange of experience. Then each time after each lesson, you'll be given homework. After going through each lesson, you'll be provided with the video recordings of the lectures with chat log materials and also homework assignments. And then you can know how fast, or how well are you proceeding. You'll get your feedback from your mentor, basically, to see how well you've done on your homework. There's also a flexible study schedule. You can study at a time convenient for you. The recordings are available all the time. Then there's the graduation project. Full development of your work project or pet project, which will solidify the knowledge that you gain throughout the course. And of course, at last, it's very important, we also provide you with employment assistance. There's the pre-interview training sessions and recommendations from the course creators and guests as well. So lots of good things, lots of useful things from the course. You can find out more details about our course by following the link just below this video picture. If you could just leave us your name, your country, your phone number, and your email. So we'll make sure, that, we get in touch with you. If you leave your phone number, you can, also be added to our WhatsApp chat group. That's a very convenient way of always following up on the newest things, the latest webinars and everything that's happening. You'll never miss out on anything. Of course, we're also sending out emails, and we're also calling you up, guys. So don't be surprised if some unknown phone number is calling you up. We just want to get to know you better, to get some feedback from you. Also, we want to see your expectations. What do you expect to hear on these webinars? And also, we want to get some feedback on how you have liked the webinars you've seen, in which you have participated. So, we can improve, and we can make, it beneficial for both sides. Now I'm going to give the word to the speaker, yeah, to Mahera. So I'm going to switch off my screen, yeah, and you can switch on your screen then.
Thank you, Linda.
Welcome. Yeah.
So hope you're able to see my screen now.
Yes, I can. Mhm.
So hello everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and namaste to one and all. I'm very happy to be here. And my name is Mehra, as Linda mentioned, and I am a lead consultant at ThoughtWorks, and I live in Hyderabad, India. A little introduction about myself. Since the last 8 years, I have been engaged in developing various products in different domains like education, retail, and architecture. Earlier to ThoughtWorks, I had started my own company, which is called Stylista.in, which is a marketplace for budding fashion designers. This was back in 2012. Apart from all of this, I am a mom of 2-year-old, and I love mentoring. I love traveling, and of course, I love the product thinking. Today, I'm here to present about prioritization. Uh, this is a very crucial topic, as you all might know. This is one of the top concerns. If you ask any product manager, they will be able to associate with prioritization. If you read upon any of the product management blogs or any Q&A or any online courses you go to, prioritization is the most important topic that everyone touches upon. So I can't stress more how important prioritization is for making successful products. So today we are going to talk about prioritization in 4 segments. The first segment is the 3 important whys, which is a little bit of introduction to prioritization. Uh, the first is, what is prioritization? Why do we do prioritization? And when do we do prioritization? So after a little bit of introduction to prioritization, we will move on to the next topic, which is called MVP, minimum viable product. This segment covers why do we even want to do prioritization, or on what do we do the prioritization. The third segment will cover uh, how do we do the prioritization. Now I understand what is prioritization and its importance, and I know what to do prioritization upon, and techniques will introduce you to how do we prioritize. So when I'm going to cover the techniques, I'm going to cover the scenarios in which I have used these techniques. So it's going to be a little bit of fun, as well as I hope this will be engaging. Towards the last, the fourth segment will cover the key takeaways for you in the whole product, in this whole prioritization topic, right? So quickly, let's jump into the first segment, which is where we get introduced to prioritization, right? So the 3 important W's, which is the first one is, what is prioritization, right? As the definition says, this is nothing, prioritization is nothing but determining what is the most important task that you will have to do in order to get your product right, right? This is something that you have to action right now. That is called prioritization. As you all might know, product development has 4 or more phases, depends on how you are doing the development of the product. The first phase is the planning phase. During the planning phase, you try to prioritize the users or the personas whom you want to interview. That is, you are prioritizing the roles or the personas for the user research. Over there, you are using the prioritization technique as well, right? The second phase, where you will have to determine the strategy, product strategy. Over there, you come up with goals, and of course you have to prioritize the goals to get your MVP right, right? The next stage, which is the build phase, over there also you prioritize the epics and the features that align to the goals that you have already prioritized. The final stage, when the product goes live, you will have to measure the product. You will take the feedback and you will measure couple of metrics, and some of these metrics needs to be prioritized so that you will follow up on them on a day-to-day basis. This way, the prioritization is used in every phase of the product development. In this webinar, as we only have 30 minutes, I am going to stress more on the third phase, which is the build phase. So during building, while building a product, what are the different prioritization techniques that we will use? Of course, these techniques can be used in at any point of time of the product development, but we will majorly talk about the build phase. So with this, I'm guessing that you understood what prioritization means. The next question that we want to answer is, why do we even prioritize, right? Uh, we have goals. Let's do all the goals, right? Or we have tasks listed. Why don't we do all the tasks listed? So as the cartoon suggests, we always have a lot of tasks at hand which we need to do and very limited resources. So with the limited resources, you have to tackle the tasks that are on the table, and hence you use the prioritization techniques. So you use the prioritization techniques to prioritize all the tasks that are on the table, and with the limited number of resources you have, you try to build the product right and get it to the ship it to the customers, right? The next phase, the next question is obviously, when do I do this? Okay, I know, I understand what is prioritization. Now when do I do this, right? So as part of agile product delivery or development, we call in small iteration cycles where we ship the product to the customer, and prioritization is done at every cycle. But majorly, the prioritization will start during the product kickoff. When we say that, hey, we are ready to build the product, we prioritize the user stories or the features which make sense for the first release. That is called the MVP, which will be covered in the next segment. But usually when the prioritization will start when you want to kick off the product. So I think all of you have bought into prioritization and are very much convinced that prioritization is a very important thing that we need to learn as product managers. Let's jump into the next important thing. Now, as you understand prioritization, the next thing will be, where do I apply prioritization, right? What do I prioritize? So that will jump into the next segment, which is called minimum viable product, or famously known as MVP. I wanted to touch upon this topic because this is the most important thing that all the product managers need to derive, which will be the end product or result or the outcome of the prioritization that we do, right? So MVP can be determined by various techniques, but the most important technique that I'll be covering today is my favorite one, which is story mapping. So story mapping is nothing but you lay the user over here, the persona that you have determined of the user over here, and then you try to construct the user journey, right? Once you construct the user journey, you try to come up with the user stories beneath it. So this is how you construct a user story mapping. I'm not getting into the details of it. This will need another session altogether, but I will leave it over here. Please do go read up upon user story mapping. This is extremely useful to understand the end-to-end flow of the user. Now let's take an example, right? I want to build a watch website, right? I sell watches and I only sell it on web, and I want to build a website for it. When I have this thought in mind, the first user journey that I get is, um, hey, I need a home page where people can read upon what uh, what is unique about my watches. That is the most important thing, is what I would say. And in the journey, I want people to see the product listing. All the watches should be listed. And next in the journey would be once the user likes it, they should see the description of the product, right? Product description is the next phase. And next in the journey is I will add my favorite, or I will add my the desired watch I want to buy into the cart. And next comes the payment, and next comes the notifications that we need to send to the user, right? So this will be the 6 very high level. This is the high user journey that I plot. Now, once I plot this, I come up with the user stories beneath it, or tasks or subtasks or whatever you want to call it. I will come up with alternate journeys and everything over beneath, right? This will give me, this will construct my user story mapping. Now, I have to prioritize, right? When I'm prioritizing, I realize that maybe not everything in this journey is very important for me, right? That will come to my next phase, which is determining or building the MVP. So not every journey is might be important. For example, in the journey that we have taken, for example, adding to the cart might not be very important for me, because I feel not every user would want to buy more than one watch, because watches are usually pricey, and maybe they can directly select a watch and then go to go for payments. And if they want to buy another watch, they can always come back and buy it, because they're not going to buy in numbers, huge numbers. I don't want to prioritize the cart part, add to the cart part, right? So in that way, I might just leave out a couple of parts of the journey, and I will say that on the whole, this is where my MVP lies. Among all the user stories that I have listed below, I feel these are the ones which are priority for the first release, at least for the first cut. This is what I am determining, and the about the dotted line will give me my thin slice, which has to be end to end again, from the user checks out the watches to the payments or the notifications. I want everything to be covered, which is important, and that will determine my MVP. So over here, we are prioritizing the user tasks or user stories per se, right? And determining the MVP. So this is how you determine the MVP. And now this brings us to the next phase, or the next segment of our talk, which is techniques. Now I understand the importance of prioritization, and I now know what to prioritize. But now the actual question is, how do I even have to, how can I prioritize? That is where we talk about the techniques for prioritization, right? So if you Google it out, the techniques for prioritization, you will come across hundreds of techniques that people suggest, saying that this is the best way to prioritize. This is the best technique to prioritize. But in my 8 years of experience, I can shortly say that every technique has got its own importance. You need to look at the circumstance and the scenario where the product development life cycle is, and then take a call on which technique suits the best. And hence, I am going to introduce you to 3 major techniques that I really like, or I recently have used. And I'm going to run you through the scenarios where we have used these techniques. So the first and foremost technique, and the most famous technique, is the Moscow technique, right? Uh, if you are aware of any techniques, or if you mostly use any techniques, please do type in the chat and let me know what are the different techniques you used. Um, and Moscow was the first, when I started my product management uh, as a career. I started using Moscow. That is the first technique that I have used, and it is So simple, so convenient to use. As the name suggests, right? It says the first one is must have, which is do it now, right? All the features that you want to tackle, all the epics that you want to tackle, do it now. All those go into the must haves. Must haves are something, when you are confused about epic, right, or a feature, whether it belongs to a must have or a should have, you can imagine, if I don't build this and ship it to the customer, would the customer lose interest in my product, or would the customer go to another similar product, is the thing that you can try to ask yourself and then categorize it. So must haves are, you can never skip those things, right? You can never skip those things. Those all get into the must have segment. The next segment is called the should haves. These are also equally important, but you feel that it is a very nice to have feature or an epic that is important for the end user. So all those you categorize into the should have, which would come next, right? And then could have, as the name suggests again, these would come later. These this look really nice in the product roadmap, and this definitely aligns to the product strategy, but maybe not now. We will talk about this later. And then the last one is won't have. You might have come up with several ideas which are brilliant, but once you come up with the product strategy and the most important product strategy, you need to think about if this feature and epic actually aligns to the product strategy or not. And if it doesn't belong to the product strategy that you have prioritized for now, you put them into the won't have, and you can look at it at a later point of time when the strategy has changed, or you are up for the next release, right? So by definition, this is what Moscow means. Now, how do you do this? Let's go back to the same example that we have discussed earlier. And this is how I would do it, right? I would put all my epics on the top and the user stories in the bottom, and then pick a particular user story, discuss with my colleagues who are in the room, all the important stakeholders in the room, on whether it is a must have, should have, could have, or won't have. If it is a must have, I will discuss why I think it is a must have. For example, product description is the most important thing, is what I feel, and that should definitely be there. The reason being, product description is the place where the customer looks at has a closer look at the watch, and they can play around. There are so many swatches, meaning there are so many colors for the dial that I can choose. I can choose a strap. I can choose the size of the dial. So there are so many combinations that I can play around with. So product development, product description is something that I would definitely categorize into the must-have lane, right? Similarly, pick the checkout lane, checkout feature, and say what it should be. Should it be a must have, or a should have, or a could have, right? It could be, as we discussed earlier, checkout or a cart can be even should have or could have, but payments will again come into the must have. Similarly, you can take every feature and categorize them in each lane. So this is how the Moscow prioritization is done. But the only thing, as I grew older in my product management experience, there were a lot of scenarios where all the stakeholders were debating, and finally we came up with all the features, or all the epics landed in either must have or should have. None of them moved to could have or won't have. None of them wanted, because we belong to different verticals. For example, I belong to one stakeholder belongs to the finance. They feel that some of them in the finance things should be must have. The others belong to something else, and everyone, their prioritization will become forefront when we are doing Moscow. So it could be confusing sometimes, is what I observed. So then I started using the next technique, which is called buy a feature. So this is a very interesting and fun thing, is what I would say, that you could do with all the stakeholders in the room, right? What you do in this one is, take an amount. For example, you take $100, right? And you give $100 to all the stakeholders in the room, and say there are 6 features, and you lay down all the 6 features on the table. And say, for example, product description is very complex, because it has n combinations that a user can play around, and depending on that, the price has to change. There is so much of logic behind the complexity is a lot. So I would rate, I would price tag that particular feature as the most expensive, and I can give the price tag for that feature as $50. And whereas, for example, about me page or the home page is a static page, right? Which has the description of all the details of this watch company that we are starting. So that is the least effort and the least complex. So I give that $5, right? So the most complex priced ticket feature is $50, and the least is $5. And now you can ask the internal as well as external stakeholders to buy a feature, literally what the technique says. Now what happens is, suddenly people from finance, people from HR, people from different domains who are present in the room will start putting themselves under in the shoes of the end customer, right? And they'll start picking the feature which is most important for the customer, for the end user, because they are buying it. They only have limited resources, which is 100 rupees, and they will have to buy a feature in order to make the complete user journey, and understand what is the most important feature over here. While doing this, in our example, add to the cart or checkout could be least prioritized, or there is no money put on that. All the money is put on product description, product listing, payment. For example, these are the 3 minimum things that people feel that, hey, we at least need to do this. This needs to be there, at least for our MVP and the first release. That is how we conquered the challenge of having everything as a must have or a should have. So hope you like this and enjoyed this, and I'm really hoping that you also implement this. This is really fun and simple, easy as well. There are times where you might not know how the complexity of the feature or an epic at that point of time. So at that point of time, what you would do is, you can also go with fixed price tag. So you give 10, 10, 10, 10 bucks for every feature on the table, or 20 bucks or whatever it is, right? Uh, a fixed price tag for all the features, and ask people to buy the feature. That also could be done. There are scenarios where we have done that as well. So the next one is value versus effort. This is something that in the recent time I have implemented. Uh, that is during the COVID time. So the COVID has brought a lot of changes in every domain, right? So when we are developing the product, also it has brought in a lot of constraints, I would say. The first constraint is time. Within the given amount of time, you want to, this was all of a sudden, it has come to us, right? And we as product managers did not even expect that this was coming, and we had already prioritized some other things in our product roadmap. But when this has hit us, we had to quickly come up with a couple of features so that it eases the end user. It eases the end user's usage. So I had used value versus effort when I was prioritizing during this time. This is a very simple technique again. What we do over here is pick a card. For example, you are picking product description as a feature. We pick that card. We we put some points for effort, as well as we put some points for value. So we talk to the developers and try to understand what is the effort in building product description, and we try to understand from the end users or the internal stakeholders or the sponsor of the product to understand what is the value of this for the end user, and we try to categorize this into any of the four quadrants. For example, the product description is high value, and for example it is not of that high effort. We are trying to compromise on not so many what do you call combinations of watches. We are going with a lean approach over there, and hence we say the effort for this is also not too complex. Then those are the things that we would tackle first, which are high value to the customers and which are whose effort is very less, and quickly in a jiffy, exaggeration, but you could ship it to the clients, sorry, in end users. So the next segment, which is high value and high effort, for example, various combinations that we were talking in product description, goes over here. That will come, which is important, but it will soon come, not for the first fly at least. The next segment, which is low value and low effort, it will come whenever, right? The users are not looking forward for it. The sponsor is not in a hurry, or the product owner is not in a hurry to actually share this particular feature to the end user. And the last one, which is high effort and low value, meh, I don't even want to think about it currently. So let's keep that outside. So this sort of prioritization, in short, what are we doing over here, right? We are trying to focus our energies on this particular quadrant, which is with less effort, that is minimum amount of time, you are delivering all the features which are important to the end users. So these are the features that you would tackle in the first go and release it as soon as possible to the end users, right? So that is how I have used the value versus effort prioritization technique. So this brings us to the last segment, which is key takeaways, which we all need to remember for prioritization, right? The first one is do the prioritization at a very high level. Never do it at a minute, or do I need to put forgot password? Do I need to think about CAPTCHA? All these are not very important to the end user. Or what is important to the end user are at a very high level. So always do your prioritization at a very high level. The next one is qualitative versus quantitative. There are a lot of qualitative approaches for prioritization as well as quantitative approaches for prioritization. Most of us might feel that as data is becoming so important in day-to-day life, we all align more on the quantitative front. For example, the last technique, which is value versus effort, is actually a quantitative effort, because we put numbers on the value and effort to determine the priority of the feature or an epic. So I just wanted to let you know that it's not necessary that always quantitative is better than qualitative. There are a lot of situations where qualitative, for example, Moscow technique is much better or easily used, because we don't know the effort that is going to take. And if we want to determine the effort, it is going to take some more time, which would delay the product development. So we don't want to get there, right? Moscow is better. And we all have to agree that when we are doing a prioritization, it depends on the current situation we are in. It depends on the who are the end users you are talking to, the budget, the time that you have for the release. There are so many constraints, right? Within the constraint, what is the best that you can prioritize is what we will have to do. So you could use qualitative techniques or quantitative techniques to determine the prioritization, and it doesn't really matter which technique you're using. All that you need to focus is what is the right technique for prioritizing at that particular circumstance that you're in. The next most important thing is don't do this alone, because when you're doing this alone, you can be biased to a couple of features, saying that, thinking that these are the most important ones. So always it is important to include internal, if possible, even the external stakeholders. Internal stakeholders could be your development team, your architect, tech lead, and various other people whom you think are important while prioritization. You should also involve the user experience team, as well as the user research team, as well as quality analyst team. Bring in all people from all backgrounds, so that they come with a different perspective and you have diverse set of audience where you could debate and come to a consensus on what is the most important thing. This way you are making them part of product development. You're not doing it alone. It's not your product, but it's our product which we are prioritizing and developing. That is the most important thing. And talking about the external stakeholders, you can definitely welcome some of the most important customers. If you have very few a few important customers whom you think will give you valuable inputs in the prioritization, you can definitely include them while prioritizing. The last but not the least is, this is somewhat related to the MVP that we have spoken about. You must set goals, prioritize the most important goals for the product. You need to measure the, once the product is released, you need to measure the goals, and then again, depending on the feedback that you receive from the end customers, you adjust the goals, and then again go back and set the goals, measure and adjust. This is a cyclic process that you need to implement when you're deriving your MVP. There is a misconception that MVP is done only during the first release of the product development lifecycle. But I would say MVP is not only for the first release, but MVP should be for the release 2 and n number of releases that you do. So MVP can be determined at any part of your product journey, right? With this, I would say we can conclude our presentation, and we can switch to the Q&A.
Yes.
I really hope you learned and enjoyed the product prioritization techniques.
Mhm. Thank you so much, Meha. Yeah, it was a very nice, insightful presentation. You can leave your slides on for now while I'm asking the questions, just in case in case you need to return to a slide. So let's start with the questions. Yeah, if you can just switch on your presentation. Yeah, back
Yeah.
again. Mhm. So the first question is from Arvind. How would you prioritize features, and what percentage of your customers will be impacted by the new feature?
Sorry, can you repeat it?
Yeah,
What
mhm.
percentage of?
How would you prioritize features, and what percentage of your customers will be impacted by the new feature?
Okay. So how would I prioritize? Again, it depends on the situation I am in. So there is a technique which is called, if end users are the most important ones for the product that you're developing, and you would want to prioritize based on their input, there is a technique called persona prioritization. So you can come up with a couple of personas which are important to you, and prioritize, come up with, draw the MVP according to their priority, right? That could be one of the way that you could prioritize, so that it appeases with appeases the most important stakeholders or most important clients or end users that you are tied up with.
Thank you. Mohit Gulati is asking, the prioritization of features for MVP. Do we take feedback from customers while doing story mapping?
Absolutely, that's a very important thing. Maybe I missed it. Thanks for bringing this up. But yes, there are often times where if the product that you're developing or if the feature that you're developing is a very new feature and new to market, right? This is an innovative idea that you have come up with, and you want, and it takes loads of effort or money to build this product. It's always good to test it out with the end users and then do it. So when you're determining your MVP, it will definitely be useful for you to just create some mock-ups, user interactions, and go to your end users and try to see if they like it. So that way you will be able to validate your MVP.
Thank you. Sankar Ganesh is asking, if I'm interested in category creation, what are the mantras we need to learn about this? Like the flexibility of moving fast, identifying the narrow markets, and perceive the expansion power and reduce threats. Yeah.
Okay. That's slightly away from the topic that I'm covering today, but
Yeah.
yeah. So that would take me to another direction on what exactly the product is, and why do you think these are the most important categories that uh, are important for you to do the user research upon. So maybe I can connect with you and we can discuss this offline. I'm on LinkedIn, and also I am part of the Facebook page that Product Star is part of. I would love to have the conversation with you on this. We can take that further from there.
Oh, that's very nice. Thank you, Meher. Also, Sankar can join our WhatsApp group as well, and we can forward the question to you as well, or he can get in touch with you. Okay, that's nice. So Arvind is asking again, between internal demands and external feature requests, product managers are constantly juggling product priorities. In this case, how do you categorize MVP?
Yeah, that's a very interesting question. I think I mentioned this in one of my prioritization techniques as well. When I was doing the Moscow prioritization, the same thing happened. All the internal stakeholders from the finance department and various other departments involved in that room were prioritizing their particular features or their particular user stories over the beyond thinking what is actually important for the end user, right? So I would ask you to try the buy the feature technique, so that everyone in the room will put themselves in the shoes of product owner, or sorry, the end user, and try to prioritize the epics and the features. Let me know how it worked out in your case. That's a very interesting use case as well, and often product managers end up in this chaos of managing internal to external.
Mhm.
But I would say both are equally important. We need to understand what is the problem that the product is trying to solve. Is the product trying to solve internal stakeholders wish, or the external stakeholders wish? Who's most important? Again, you can prioritize in the users or the personas that you are targeting when you're building the product, right? So if you feel that internal stakeholders, for at least this release, I am targeting the internal stakeholders and they are the most important ones, then obviously you could take their demand into consideration. But you are at a phase of the product where you are newly developing it and you are in the market and you want to make your mark in with the end users first, which means that the internal stakeholders have to do some manual work to get the product going, then I think we need to make it very clear to the internal stakeholders that we have to live this with this at least for the next release or two.
Thank you. Mohit Gulati is asking, can the priority of a feature change during development phase? As we use high-level estimations in the beginning, how do we handle this?
Absolutely. So that brings to another important topic in prioritization, which is called reprioritization. Uh, the in agile product development, the most important thing that we usually do is try to reprioritize, right? And we try to prioritize at an iteration level. Your iteration could be a 1 week iteration or a 2 week iteration. So that is the beauty of agile product development, right? When the change is hitting us, for example, the COVID, right? As a product manager, I was developing something in the payment space, and this hit me. COVID hit me, and we had to quickly come up with another product roadmap, at least for the next 6 months. The entire prioritization has changed. So over there, we have used the technique which is called effort versus value, right? Absolutely, this is reprioritization is something which product managers need to be aware of. And one more important thing when it comes to the reprioritization, right? It's always good to have must haves and should haves in your product roadmap. Never only go with must haves. The problem over there would be if there is a challenge which hits and you only have the must haves in the product roadmap, it will be very difficult for you to negotiate and see what can be removed. If you have the should haves also in the product roadmap, it is easy for you to, when you are reprioritizing or redoing something, it is easy for you to remove the should haves and put in the must have, reprioritize the should haves, so that you're making sense for the entire roadmap.
Thank you. Sankar Ganesh is asking, sometimes tech debts and few engineering works may need big effort, but less value to the customers. So how do you decide the priority here?
Yes, and hence comes to my one of the point which I've said, that don't prioritize alone, right? Always loop in your tech team, QA team as well, the quality analyst team as well, user experience team as well. Everyone should be on the same page. So I do understand that a lot of time tech team would come up saying that, hey, there is a lot of tech debt. I want to do that first in this iteration and then go to that, go to the features. That's the most important thing that we need to tackle. Every tech debt should always be mapped to what it brings to the end customer. For example, there is a tech debt which will actually improve the performance of add to cart, or calculating the price of the watch in the product description, or it makes the journey, the performance, the flow of the user clicking on the buttons very easy. So try to map it to what it gives to the end user, and see how important that particular thing is with respect to the end user, and then prioritize it, is what I would say. Always try to question the tech team on uh, how does this impact the end customer, or how does this impact the product. If I don't do this tech debt, what would it do? Will it crash the code? Will it uh, that the product itself cannot be launched and people cannot use it? What would happen if I don't do this tech debt? And try to understand it and then try to prioritize it.
Mhm. Thank you. Saeed Haider is asking, all PM features will be automated with the help of tools in the near future, right? He's thinking, like asking your opinion on this. Will all the PM features be automated?
Sorry, your voice got cut. in between, so I couldn't hear the question. Hello?
the help of tools in the future, in the near future. Hello.
Can you type in the question? I am.
Yes, can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Yeah, I guess there was some problem with the connection. Sorry about that, guys. I'm saying Saeed is asking, all PM features will be automated in the near future with the help of tools. What do you think?
Um, I don't think. So one of the most important characteristic of a proma is, I would say, design thinking, right? When you talk about design thinking, it's about empathy. It's about empathy to the customers. And I don't think any tool could replace that empathy part. Even when you're negotiating with your developers, even when you're negotiating with your the budget, when you're negotiating with so many other things, right? I don't think any product can be developed without a product manager, without the thought of what the product should look like, who are the stakeholders, what should I do for them, what are they craving for, what is the most important thing that I need to tackle at this point of time. So all this thought process, I don't think any tool could replace that, right? That's my take.
Mm-hmm. Okay, that's nice to hear. There's still hope. So,
I
Ashma,
think I think I'm losing you.
yeah.
Is it only me?
Sorry about that. I don't know. Um,
Yeah, I can hear you now. I can hear you
you
now.
can hear me now, yeah? I'm gonna switch on my screen now. The last question is from Ashmita. How do we go about the cost of revenue analysis while prioritizing features, since ROI is of utmost importance?
Yeah. So ROI is also a prioritization technique which falls under the quantitative prioritization technique, um, where you determine for a particular feature what is the ROI do I get. There is a formula for that which you could use to determine each feature or each epic's return on investment, and depending if you have budget constraints, or if your product goal is tied into more into return on investment than anything else, then yeah, why not go with that sort of prioritization, right? So as I said, there are so many number of prioritization techniques. Depending on how you want to prioritize, you can choose a technique and go for it.
Hmm. Okay, thank you so much for your answers, Mehra. Yeah, I think you gave some really great tips. I'm gonna do some of my slides now as well. So, what's left here? What's next? So some additional info, some gifts giving away, some homework assignment, and so that's what we're doing now. So, what do we have here? So who should be the speakers during the course? So we have some great, experienced people from the industry, from the product management industry, like senior managers from Microsoft, Skyeng, from Shell, Apollo, Booking.com. So lots of great experienced people who can help you out with their experience and know-how. So if we take a little bit deeper look at the program, basically, so what can you expect to get in the course program? So it's a 6-month course. So section 1 is we start out with the basic product manager skills. Then section 2 is skills for mid-level product managers. So you can level up your skills, basically. Then you follow into the mobile products, which is then followed by product manager level up. And at the end, as I said before, there's a thesis, the graduation project, plus our, employment assistance for you. So lots of benefits there. So what results can you expect from completing the course? First of all, a comprehensive knowledge base, which is necessary for your professional development, as well as lectures from the industry's leading professionals. There are lots of useful product management skills, practical tasks in the form of homework, exercises, and then also high quality contacts you can receive from, this online platform. And you can do it networking opportunities, with industry professionals. And here you can also see how will the digital certificate look like, basically, once you have graduated from the course. So what does the platform look like? So you can see samples here, what it looks like. Yeah, so basically, there are lots of lectures and quizzes to solidify new knowledge. There are workshops and lots of, great new knowledge and homeworks and feedbacks. And, you'll be assigned your very own personal mentor to work through the course so you can succeed. So one other great news, guys, is that basically this is the final sale, basically, for our online course. We're having a great discount. This is once in a lifetime opportunity. Basically, it's 60% off, and this discount will be in force only until the 10th of July. Because we're just starting out this international trial session, so this group is very lucky. You can get your discount until the 10th of July. After that, the next group will be only gathered in December, and there won't be such an opportunity for such a big discount. So guys, whoever is interested in the product management, starting out, or just really want to improve on your skills, this is the time to do it now. So you can find out more details about the course by following the link. As I said before, you can leave us your name. You leave us your name, your details, your phone number, your email, which country you're from. If you leave us your phone number, you can be added to our WhatsApp chat group, so you can never miss any latest updates, any latest webinars coming out. So you'll be notified about all the latest details you need to know. So the best question will receive cool gift, as I said at the end of the session. So we had some really great questions, but the one that stood out to Mehra, I think, was Arvind's question. So Arvind HV, please get in touch with at Julia Kenya, and she'll provide you with the details of, how you can claim your gift, your book, which is a book on product management called Hooked, how to build habit-forming products. So congratulations. And the next section is on homework. Basically, guys, as I said before, if you go onto our website, you can rate your product manager skills from 0 to 5. Be honest with yourself, guys. 0 means that you're just starting out and you have no experience in product management, and 5 is that you're already, top level manager in this field and you're very experienced. So there'll be lots of questions you can answer and rate yourself. That's your homework, guys. So yeah, that'll be the end of our session today. You can follow us on our Telegram channel at products.org. Thank you so much, guys, for participating and asking questions and being, with us live today. Thank you so much, Mehra. Your presentation was so great. I hope you guys can take, some good tips. You can take away them with you. So thank you so much, Mehra. Last word to you, if you can hear me.
Yes, thank you so much for being patient and listening to me. I'm happy to connect on WhatsApp, LinkedIn, and also the Facebook page. I love mentoring, so please do bother me with if you have any questions.
Yes, thank you for sharing your knowledge. You can see how enthusiastic you are about the subject. I think you could be really helpful. So thank you, guys, everyone around the world who has been tuning in and listening to us, viewing us. So everybody, stay safe and have a nice evening or have a nice day wherever you are. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.